Hello everyone, I'm here at Sarah Henderson's office and I'm just walking up. We've got Abigail here and Caroline and Enrico, and we also have Amanda here who's going to help me with the camera later. So this is where Caroline sits and whoever else joins her on the day at the table right in front of Sarah's office. And we've got some sign there which is hard. It's windy today, so I'm going to encourage everyone to pick up their seats and go and sit in the shade over there, because it's a very warm 40-degree day and it's yeah, very hot. So we're just going to have a really relaxed chat and sit in the shade and just talk about you know, why we're here, why Caroline is doing this, and you know, she's leading, I guess, people to do the same all over the country. And so even, as she will say later, that even if she doesn't have hundreds of people sitting with her, she will have, you know, people in other states and other MPs' offices.
Do people know what Fridays for Future is about?
Probably not.
Probably not. So Greta Thunberg, and I only knew about her in November, I suppose, and she'd already created an amazing following of people, because at age 15 she asked her friends to go and sit outside Parliament, but they in fact didn't want to go, so she sat outside Parliament herself
and striked for action for climate change.
Yes, yeah. And that's all she had, an old bit of cardboard, nothing very fancy, because she said, what's the point of me thinking about my education if I'm not going to have a life in future?
That's right.
And it really has struck a chord, and since then schools and young people all around the world are beginning to understand that they too can be engaged, and it's been called school strike. Now, interestingly enough, in November I'd actually said I wasn't going to the strike because I'd been involved with I think doing some Adani door knocking. Some people might not even know about Adani, so that's another issue, but it's all to do with climate change. And my daughter had also been involved with something else. She said, I don't think I'm going up to Melbourne. But then Scott Morrison said, in such a dismissive way, you children should go back to school. In fact, actually a number of other people said things. What did they say? They said things like, oh, if you go out striking on school strike, all you'll do is learn how to be a dole bludger. Oh. Well, I was so outraged, I thought I'll go. My daughter said, I'll come. And I think 10,000 other people were so outraged by their dismissive comments that they said they'd go too. And since then, all around Europe, there have been strikes on Friday that have been mainly school children. But as a parent or a grandparent, everyone's entitled to support their young people and go. And then Fridays, because that was the day that Greta decided that she would strike, has become the day that people can strike. And
I was just going to say hello, Caroline.
hello.
I was just going to say, keep it up.
Thank you. Do I know you?
No, don't know me at all.
Okay.
I live here, locally.
Ah, did you see Caroline on Facebook?
I did. I saw you on Facebook.
Okay.
I just wanted to come say hello. And
Thank you.
That was hot.
I know it is hot, isn't it?
Yes, well, it's something
And
to
your
do
name
with
is?
Dan.
Dan.
I live locally.
Oh, Dan. Did see you on Facebook. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes.
I shared your post.
Good, thank
And there's
you.
a few other people I know in other communities and
Good.
other cities
Good.
who recognise your efforts. Sorry?
Are you going to act?
Well, I'm doing what I can individually. It's a little
Good.
limited, but
Good.
no, I just people
Good.
like you taking a stand.
Thank you.
Do it.
Good. Thank you, Dan.
So I've
Yep.
changed my walk home to just come and recognise, even on this hot day.
And we all do a little bit.
We all,
Yes.
well, and then a cumulative effort
Exactly.
is something.
We'll make a change.
Yes,
Yeah.
agreed.
Okay.
Keep it up.
Thank you, Dan. Cheers. Yes, I do know who it was.
That was just somebody walking past. I hope that you could see that.
I think
That was
that's a great example of something little that you can do. Like, he said he changed his walk on the way home to come see us.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
you know, if you can't strike in the heat, you can call your MP or your council, because I know from experience working in politics in America that phone calls make a big difference and change the kind of the momentum of a political office. Like, they talk about the phone calls that they're getting, so that's a huge way you can change the conversation within a political office, is calling your MP or writing a letter or emailing.
Yeah. Getting involved takes time, and it was at least 2 months before I thought I would do what I wanted, and I didn't know what I wanted. I felt that rallies were okay, but I thought with the Vietnam War it took thousands of people before the government made any change. And they are doing a great thing, but it's not every week. And I felt it needed to be a persistent presence, that you're saying, I'm not just thinking about this even once a month, I'm thinking about it every week because it's so important. And when I originally thought, I'll go to the state government and sit outside like Greta, she was 15 then. I thought, I connect with her because I'm 75. And I thought, if I actually go and sit outside, and I thought, that's absolutely stupid. I'm not going to do that from the Bellarine. This is ridiculous. And then I thought, well, I'll go to Canberra, and I thought, well, this is even more ridiculous. And then I thought, no, but I can sit outside my own local MP. It's not that hard to do. I would like to come by bus, but I have a table and chairs if anyone likes to come and sit and talk about Socrates or anybody else, and climate change, and what we feel about it, and how angry we are, and how worried we are. So it took 2 months, and there was Christmas and holidays, and I didn't know whether I could do it. But in fact, acting is the best thing that you can possibly do, and I think Abigail would agree with me, wouldn't?
Absolutely. I was similar. A few months of stewing and being so worried, and sharing things on Facebook, but not really knowing how to be an activist. I have no training, and marches and rallies in Melbourne, they're not sustainable. Activism needs to be sustainable, and the best way for that is local activism. So I would just urge people wherever they are right now to find the office of your local politician that you think will, is in a position to enact the most change, and just go there for an hour or two. Don't let this idea that you have to be perfect or accomplish so much stop you from doing anything, because there's millions of people around the world that are fighting for the same thing. So we don't have to do all the work, we just have to do a little bit of the work.
One person said, and this is maybe a common thing that people are saying, yes, but what can we do about it? So I want to say, you actually have to get involved, not get upset saying and be pessimistic, or what's the other word, when you really feel, what is the word? Come on.
Maybe it's futile or
yes.
defeated.
Yes, defeatist is what I wanted to say. Because it doesn't help you, and you just spiral into depression. Whereas if you act, you meet other people who believe in what you're doing and feel, even though we don't know that what we're doing is going to produce exactly what we want. And maybe the older we are, like I'm nearly 76, and people could say, well, what does it matter? I'm going to be dead in a few years anyway. But the thing is, you live your life until the end, and you have to live it in the best way you can. And to be defeatist, that's the right word, Abigail, is negating everything about life, because life is beautiful, and that's what we need to keep. So instead of going in a little corner, get involved in some small way, in whatever way you can, because one, you will feel better about it, and two, we might achieve what we actually want.
And this is not just about you anyway. Like, I'm sure as a
Absolutely.
mother
Yeah.
and a grandmother,
Yeah.
you're thinking, well, you want to leave a legacy for your family and your kids and their kids and their kids. It's gone the Friday hashtag Fridays for Future. So if everybody does something on a Friday, I don't know, can we think of any ideas of what people... Well, we've already said about the writing to the MPs. You know, I spoke to somebody the other day about bank accounts and superannuation, those sort of higher things. But then what about just the simple things?
Like talking to your neighbour.
Talk to your neighbour.
Yes, because you don't know where they're at. I talked to somebody on the beach the other day. I usually bring the subject up very gently. And
What's your gentle segue into this topic? I need to learn that because I don't know.
I've been involved with climate change, I think. And he said, Al Gore is a failed president.
Oh, really?
So I said, what do you think of David Attenborough? And he said, he's not a scientist. And I said, well, I understand what you mean, because maybe you need to be a climatologist. But I'm an artist, and I only understand about my own discipline. I don't understand about other disciplines. That was the end of the conversation, so it wasn't aggressive or anything. But I walked away and I said, isn't it a beautiful day? And aren't we lucky to be so close to the beach? But let's hope the sea levels don't rise and take over our houses. And then I walked away. You have to...
We didn't let him have the final say.
So I had the final say.
It's a scary prophecy.
But you do have to make, not fun of other people, but you have to be light-hearted a little bit. Otherwise you drag yourself down, and conversations that are negative don't do you any good and don't do other people any good. So maybe he'll think about what I've said, maybe he won't. But I felt okay when I walked away. I thought, I've done my little thing. I've talked about it with him, and that's all you can do, really. And if you find somebody who doesn't know anything but wants to hear more, well, then that's an easier conversation. But if you bring up the conversation gently, in some way, and never aggressively, people are usually happy to talk a little, aren't they?
And I think about my journey to this place. It took several touches with, you know, hearing about activism and what's happening with climate change before I actually felt the urgency to take action. So, you know, that man that you met on the beach, maybe those words won't be the words that topple him over into changing, but it set a foundation. And every time you talk about this with someone, you don't know where they are in that journey, and your words might be the words that you know, kind of propel them into action. Yeah.
And I think what you say, Caroline, is the key is that you've just got to be subtle and just not aggressive, because you will get the deniers and the doubters and the people that think that they know and will argue what they think they know is right, even though the scientists have proven otherwise. And so then it's like, how do you... And I always find that difficult because I have a lot of people around me that, you know, think it's rubbish. And so, yeah, and it's sort of hard to actually explain. And so, yeah, I think that whole stay calm, because the anger's not going to get you anywhere. And like some people have said to me, just don't worry about them. Don't even talk to them about it. But I suppose like what you did, you said your piece and then you walked away. But that's somebody that you don't really know. But if you're at a barbecue or at a gathering and then the topic comes up and you've got somebody who's...
Especially if they're a friend.
Yes.
Or a family member.
Yes.
That a family member is probably the worst, because you must on no account make that a reason
No,
to
be
stop
arguing.
talking to that person or arguing. That's it. I just think sometimes maybe you have to back away sometimes because families are too important. And if there's a family member, I can think of one particular person who I just would never bring it up with them. And I just have to hope that there are enough people around who will maybe change his mind, but it won't be mine. It won't be me.
New Zealand's actually passed a NetZero, a law into place, and they did that with the support of the backbench party. You know, they reached across party lines to pass legislation for the good of their people.
Really?
Yeah. So
It's that's I've watched lots of things of Jacinta, and she's
she's
amazing.
great. Yeah.
This is why we're sitting here, because those politicians don't listen to what's being said. They make dismissive comments about, people like us who are trying to engage with grassroots, with so many of us doing so much. But they think they're in their rarefied air out there, that they're not having to listen to anybody else. If they keep doing what they're doing and the economy is wonderful.
Has Sarah, on that note, what's the response been from Sarah?
Well, we're going to have a meeting with her.
Okay.
And this week wasn't obviously going to be good. So we're just biding our time. And I think for the moment we're trying to get other people involved. And maybe Sarah needs to talk to her other members of Parliament and say, there are these rabble-rousers outside her office. And we need to deal with them. And you do need to deal with us. So what we're trying to do is look on Climate Change Now Facebook page and put a photo and maybe a little story about what was important that you did today if you went, and listen to what other people are doing and get some support and feel that yes, you too can make a difference.
And what's the hashtag again?
Change? No, climate.
Fridays for Future.
Oh, Fridays, hashtag Fridays for Future.
Yeah.
That's the event. Every single Friday.
Yeah. I really like your persistent
Persistent presence.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's
For
try
climate
that.
action, maybe. Yeah, I like that. Hashtag persistent presence. It is. Yeah. And as are you. So thank you.
Confused with anything else.
Yes, that's right. Well, thank you all, and I look forward to sharing again another week with everyone. So thanks everyone for watching, and I'll have a look at some comments and things later and reply if necessary. But feel free to share this with other people, and feel even more free to go to your local MPs or come and sit down here at Sarah Henderson's if you're in Geelong. Okay, thanks guys. Bye.
The Sustainable Hour.
For a green, clean, sustainable Geelong. The Sustainable Hour.